Chapter 27. Not Even Footprints. Sometimes it seems that I'm writing these words on the sand, like in that quaint picture, Footprints in the Sand. The wind is in my face. Is this all there is? Words that fade as fast as I write them. My words dry as sand that blows in my face, blinding me. If only I could get you to look before my words are lost. In my vision, on the sand, there are no footprints, as if I'd never come here, or never written these words, or it never mattered what I said. You would not see. You are not here to see. You are gone, like our footprints, like my words, gone. Chapter 28. Eternity. My friend said the spiritual world exists outside time. That's hard for the mind to grasp. Sometimes I think I understand. I've heard that heaven is about peace and perfect bliss and infinity. There have been times, I do remember, though not in many years, but I remember, where time seemed to stop, or it lost all meaning, and for that moment I didn't perceive things as a sequence of events. There was just that one moment, and at that moment I felt completely at peace, and I felt complete bliss. That's a place where I want to return again and again, forever. Chapter 29. Tears for Grandmother's Passing. Introduction to the poem. In this poem, I'm reflecting upon a visit I had to my grandparents back when I was in college. I was going to school in the South, but working up north. Halfway along the drive, my grandmother and granddaddy lived in Burlington, North Carolina. Of course, I was always welcome to see them. On one particular visit, I had some extra time before I would start work up north. I felt a bit more relaxed because the work I was doing back then was not as challenging as my college studies. Every quarter I would alternate between classes at Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Georgia. I sat there in the chair next to the TV where they would sit when no one was visiting. Next to us was the dining area and the kitchen table where we ate. Grandmother had asked me to look around the house and tell her what I want if and when she passes. I was only 21, and so thinking about things like this was hard. Some heirloom or memento of something handed down. I meant no respect, nor was I disinterested. I just thought and then said, okay, I'll think about it. I honestly believed I would have more time. Indeed, I don't think they died for some time after that. I honestly couldn't think of what I wanted. The ideas that came to mind were big items. I'm saying this despite having every expectation at the time that I could buy my own furniture and appliances someday. I suppose a washing machine wouldn't remind me of them, and maybe many of the appliances would not last too long. I looked at the stove and wondered, would the stove remind me of this visit or others like this? And grandmother shown me such concern and love for me in her own ways. In retrospect, I can think of the bed that I would sleep in when I came to visit. The living room furniture had been around for a long time, and that room held many memories. I just wasn't thinking of that at the time. I felt guilty later, as if I really didn't care. But that's not accurate. I thought there would be more time. But when? When would I decide? Now I must make that decision. It never happened. The house and all its memories were gone before grandmother died. I could have just said, this is what I want. Perhaps the wishes of my paternal grandparents would have been ignored anyway. If this was so important to grandmother and granddaddy, how would it not have occurred to anyone else that they would have cared about making sure that Bruce, that's me, got something of his choosing? Something. Anything. It's not about the material or financial value of these things. It was about the love of grandmother and a granddaddy. Who would have thought that when grandmother moved into a nursing home, I would be homeless and in need of a home? That's also not something you can imagine when you are so young and innocent. Unexpectedly, following the loss of my first wife, I was in dire straits and suffering from a very traumatic event. These poems about grief, trauma, loss, and the psychological impact of traumatic events. Reflect upon what happened so unexpectedly beginning in late 2000. If I had known what was coming. Here's the poem below. Tears for grandmother's passing. I'm so sorry, grandmother, that I didn't give it more thought when you asked me to look around your home at the years of accumulated items, mementos, items handed down for generations, photographs and photo albums. I don't know if I didn't realize in time the importance of things like this, or if I thought there would be time later for thinking of these things. As a young adult, we don't like thinking of loss and death. It seems unnatural. I know you didn't intend for things to go this way, to just fade away, dying in some nursing home, fading out of awareness over those last years. Your awareness fading, not recognizing your sons and grandsons and granddaughters, not aware that your husband had died years earlier and then your daughter before you. Perhaps your lack of awareness was good. They said you would not have recognized me, but that was their decision, to exclude me. It would have hurt me, but that would have been good and right. Grandmother, if you are aware, if awareness is given to the dead, if time is not what it seems, I'd mentioned that I shed a tear for you today, and I was inspired, and it's good, and this is right.